There is a reason ex-casino staff warn players about certain slot machines. They have seen how even seasoned gamblers are drawn in by clever tricks and hidden odds. Some machines were engineered not just to entertain, but to drain bank accounts with ruthless precision. They range from digital games that disguise real bets behind flashing penny signs to jackpot towers fueled by everyone's losses. The rules you think you know are almost irrelevant. Tonight, we are breaking down the 9 slots every insider avoids, and why understanding their secret mechanics could save you far more than money. Curious which machines made the blacklist and what keeps them spinning long after the luck is gone? The mechanics behind the house edge are about to come into focus. Inside every slot machine, a silent process unfolds in less than 1,000th of a second. A technician slides open the panel and reveals a circuit board humming with activity. At its core is the random number generator, RNG, a chip running calculations faster than any human can blink. Each spin and each button press triggers the RNG to select a number from millions of possibilities. That number instantly locks in the outcome, mapping to a specific arrangement of symbols before the reels begin to move. The spinning reels and flashing lights are pure theater. The result is decided the moment you touch the button or pull the handle. No skill, no timing, no pattern of play can influence what happens next. The technician points to a digital readout. Numbers flicker at lightning speed, changing thousands of times every second, even when the machine is not being played. It is a closed loop, completely independent from previous spins, untouched by player behavior. For those who believe they can time their spins or wait for a hot machine, the reality is harsh. The RNG never pauses and never waits for luck or intuition. Even if 2 players hit spin at the exact same moment, each machine's RNG is cycling on its own, selecting a number unique to that split second. The technician demonstrates this with a reset. The outcome changes every millisecond, and the same button press a fraction of a second later produces a completely different result. This invisible process is the foundation of modern slots. The outcome is predetermined before the reels slow to a stop, before the sound effects and lights celebrate or disappoint. The machine animation is just a reveal, a performance designed to heighten suspense. But the real decision, the only decision, happened behind the scenes, locked in by cold, impartial math. The technician closes the panel, leaving the machine ready for the next player, the next spin, the next instant calculation that decides everything. The myth of timing, of patterns, dissolves under the relentless logic of the RNG. Every slot machine is built on a simple equation, the house edge. For every $100 wagered, the machine is programmed to keep a cut, usually between $5 and $15, no matter who sits down or how the reels line up. This is not a secret, but it is rarely spelled out on the blinking screen. Instead, you will find it buried in technical reports and regulatory filings from the Nevada Gaming Control Board, which lists the average return to player for slots between 85% and 95%. A gaming commission analyst puts it plainly, the house edge is baked into the math, and the return to player is clearly stated in the machine's documentation. The numbers are cold, but the experience is anything but. Slot designers know exactly how to turn that mathematical advantage into a rush of emotion. Every light, every sound, every animated celebration is engineered for one purpose: to keep you playing longer. Researchers have measured it. When the machine's lights and sounds ramp up, player engagement spikes by up to 30%. That is not just a lucky guess. It is the result of years of behavioral experiments, lab tests, and careful observation on the casino floor. Conditioning drives attention and repeat play. The process starts the moment you press spin. If you win, even a small amount, the machine erupts in a chorus of bells and flashing colors. Even when you lose, the near-miss animations and hopeful jingles keep you locked in, chasing that next dopamine hit. The effect is so powerful that some jurisdictions have had to step in, setting limits on how intense these sensory cues can be. But the real advantage is not just in the math or the spectacle, it is in how they work together. The house edge quietly drains your bankroll over time, while the lights and sounds make every moment feel like a potential jackpot. It is a cycle designed to blur the line between entertainment and loss, between hope and habit. The numbers guarantee the casino profit, but the sensory hooks keep the seats full. That is the secret recipe, cold calculation wrapped in warm neon. A progressive jackpot slot doesn't just run on hope, it runs on a network, quietly collecting a piece of every bet from every connected machine. A former systems engineer explains that each time a player wagers, a fixed percentage, usually around 1%, feeds the jackpot pool. That is not just your spin, it is every spin across dozens, sometimes hundreds of linked machines, even in different casinos. The jackpot climbs fast, but the odds of claiming it remain vanishingly small. Floor logs show that a typical major progressive pays out only once every few months, with odds often worse than 1 in 10 million per spin. The trade-off is hidden in the math. Regular slots might return 96 cents on the dollar over time, but a progressive machine lowers that average to fund the dream. Some drop to 88 or 90 cents on the dollar, with the difference funneled straight into the jackpot display. The base game pays out less, so most players lose faster chasing the big win. An ex-cashier remembers the routine, cashing out long lines of small losers, but only a handful of jackpot winners in years on the job. She would say the jackpot grows because everyone loses a little chasing it. You are not just betting against the odds, you are funding them. The visible jackpot lures in the crowd, but the real money flows out quietly, one small bet at a time. For every $1 million winner, there are millions of near misses, each one fueling the next cycle. The house edge remains, buried beneath the lights and the promise of a life-changing spin. Jurassic Park, Game of Thrones, Wheel of Fortune. These are the machines that command attention the moment you walk onto the floor. The screens play movie clips, the speakers blast familiar music, and the cabinets are bigger and brighter than anything else around. But behind the show, there is a silent price tag. Every brand logo comes with a licensing fee, and casinos do not just absorb those costs, they pass them along to the players. The math is hidden in the return to player, or RTP. On a generic slot, the RTP might hover around 93 or 94%. Themed machines, though, often drop to 88 or 90%. That is not a rounding error. It is the casino making up for every dollar paid out to the brand owner. A former floor manager puts it bluntly: "We put the show at the door. The licensing costs siphon from the payout pool. So you are paying for the show, not the odds." For every $100 cycled through a branded slot, several more go into corporate royalties rather than back to players. The difference can mean $30 or $40 less in returns for every $1,000 wagered, compared to a plain machine nearby. The spectacle is designed to distract from the math. Players get nostalgia and excitement, but the odds quietly tilt further in the house's favor. The logo on the cabinet is a signal: you are funding Hollywood, not your own jackpot. And as the next batch of penny line machines waits in the wings, the wallet drain only gets stealthier. The penny slot aisle draws crowds with a promise that feels harmless: 1 cent per line, dozens of lines, endless combinations. But the math is never as gentle as the label. A single spin might offer 30 pay lines, each costing a penny. That sounds like 30 cents, but the real catch is in the bonus rules. To unlock the features, free spins, wild reels, mini games, you have to bet on every line, every spin. Suddenly, a 1-cent game turns into a $3 commitment, multiplied by how quickly the reels spin and the minutes you stay seated. The illusion deepens with mini wins. These are payouts smaller than your original bet, like winning 15 cents back on a $3 spin. The lights flash, the speakers chime, the machine congratulates you, even as your balance keeps shrinking. Players walk away convinced they broke even or made progress, but the numbers do not lie. Over hundreds of spins, the steady drip of small losses adds up to more than most realize. A former casino manager explains, "We call them mini wins because they sound like a reward, but they are just losses in disguise. It keeps people playing, thinking they are ahead." The penny slot is a master of disguise, a budget game that quietly empties wallets faster than high-limit machines. The real cost is hidden behind the thrill of almost winning and the steady encouragement of the machine's celebration. Every bet, every line, every spin, the math does its work, quietly stacking the odds in the house's favor. A former game programmer scrolls through lines of code, pausing at a table labeled Virtual Real Mapping. On the surface, every spin is random, but the reality is more calculated. Modern slot machines use software to create a virtual reel with dozens, sometimes hundreds, of invisible positions. The random number generator picks a value, which points to one of these stops. Most stops are mapped to ordinary symbols, but the jackpot and bonus triggers occupy only a handful of slots. The real trick lies in the near-miss positions, those symbols just above or below a jackpot on the pay line. These positions are weighted to appear far more often than chance alone would predict. Patent filings and internal design documents spell out the intent. One filing by a major manufacturer describes a system that maps losing outcomes to almost win displays, ensuring players frequently see two jackpot symbols and the third just out of reach. Test reports from regulatory labs have documented near-miss frequencies up to 35% higher than pure randomness would allow. In some cases, machines ramp up these outcomes after a string of losses, or when the player hesitates, using behavioral data to keep the hope alive. The programmer puts it plainly: near misses are engineered, not flukes. The system is designed to make you feel like a win is just one spin away. The payout bands are fixed from the start, and no amount of skill or intuition can change the result. The near miss is a feature, not a bug, mapped by software and protected by patents. It is a carefully calculated loop of hope designed to keep players spinning long after the odds have turned against them. Rows of slot machines pulse with synchronized lights and thundering soundtracks. When one player hits a bonus, the entire bank erupts. Music swells, digital dragons swirl, and a leaderboard flashes with new high scores. These are banked and community slots, designed to turn a single win into a spectacle. The effect is not accidental. Audio and lighting cues are amplified across the cluster, drawing eyes and ears from every direction. A former casino security analyst leans in and says, "It is crowd control, not teamwork." The celebration is not just for the winner, it is bait for everyone else. When you see someone else win, your brain fires the same reward signals as if you had won yourself. That borrowed excitement keeps seats full, even as individual losses stack up. Slot tournaments push this social buzz even further. Players pay to compete in rapid-fire rounds, chasing a top score on flashing leaderboards. But the math is simple. Casinos take a cut, often around 20% of all entry fees before anything is paid out. In a $10,000 tournament, $2,000 never return to players. The rest is split among a handful of winners, while most go home empty-handed, taking only the rush of competition. The noise, the crowd, the adrenaline are all engineered to stretch playtime and blur the line between luck and skill. A responsible gambling counselor offers a quick tip: set a firm budget and a time limit before playing. The energy of the crowd can sweep you along, but only you decide when to walk away. In a casino, excitement is contagious by design. The safest bet is to keep your own limits clear, no matter how loud the celebration gets. Velvet ropes, plush chairs, and gold-plated trim signal exclusivity, but the math behind high-limit slot machines is anything but special. A $10 spin on a high-denomination slot carries the same payout algorithm as the penny slots below, just with bigger stakes and faster losses. Regulatory filings from the Nevada Gaming Control Board confirm it. Most high-limit machines run return to player percentages, RTP, nearly identical to their low-limit cousins, often within a single percentage point. The illusion of better odds is pure packaging. A former high-limit host remembers regulars who believed higher bets meant better returns. In reality, the only thing that changed was the speed of the bankroll drain. The host says, "Premium packaging, same math." You are paying for the feeling, not the odds. A few lucky wins get amplified, but the underlying house edge, sometimes as high as 15%, remains constant. The velvet rope does not protect your wallet, it just accelerates the ride. Nostalgia machines offer a different kind of bait. Cabinets designed to mimic the classic chrome and handle slots of decades past are under-the-surface modern digital games. These retro reproductions often run lower return to player percentages than newer video slots, banking on memory and comfort to keep players spinning. The simplicity is a lure, not a safeguard. Data from regulatory audits shows these machines regularly return less than 90% to players, a figure quietly justified by their popularity. In the end, both the luxury suite and the memory lane trap run on the same principle: dress up standard algorithms and let emotion do the rest. Today, US casinos take in over $35 billion a year from slot machines alone, more than all other games combined. As technology advances, these machines become ever more sophisticated at reading and shaping player behavior. The real gamble is not on the reels, but on our ability to recognize the game we are actually playing. The smartest bet now is knowing when to walk away. What is your take? Drop your thoughts below.